Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your man, Darrell Owens, and we are back for another edition of One on One here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, and of course, airing on the amazing Bowie Television. Week 9, we are here. We are pretty much at the halfway point of the NFL season. We see the trade deadline is next week. So on Monday, we'll know if there's some new players shifting to different places. But tonight, we got Thursday night football. We got Jets versus Texans in New York. The Jets are in trouble, and they've got to find a way to get out of the hole. They're 2-6. They lost to the Patriots last week. We're going to get into all that, but that happens tonight. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get this bad boy started. We've got episode 146 of One-on-One ready here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, and of course, Aaron on the amazing Bowie Television. Let's get it.
One, 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 one. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to One-on-One at Legacy Maker Sports Network.
All right, what's up, everybody? We are here for episode 146 of One-on-One, of course, here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. I guess we got to get it out some way. Here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, and of course, Aaron on the amazing Bowie Television. Look, everyone, Week 9 NFL season going down, or at least starting tonight. We got Texans versus Jets, which looked real pretty on tape. Real pretty on tape, probably at the beginning of the season. Right now, maybe not so much, but the Texans are still 6-2. The Jets are 2-6, but they'll figure that out tonight. But we got a lot to get into. Power rankings, the finale, the Kings of the Gridiron. We'll get into all that. We got new number ones in the Legacy Maker NFL Pick'ems League. We got a new person that has climbed to the top, but maybe not so new. But we'll talk about all that here in just a second. But let's go ahead and get things started with the bottom. All right, the bottom. All right, so we start off at the bottom, at the very bottom, and that team sitting oh so non-pretty at the bottom are the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers had a game last week against the Broncos, a team who a lot of people didn't see the Broncos maybe playing as well as they've been playing, but they've played some pretty solid football. Sean Payton has those guys kind of clicking. And, Bryce Young comes back in to start after Andy Dalton had his accident. And, he didn't play miserable, but he didn't play great. Still some growing pains for the young quarterback. 24 for 37, 224 yards, and 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. But on the opposite side, there's a quarterback in Bo Nix, 28 for 37, 284 yards, 3 touchdowns. And we'll get into more of him later, but he's really starting to cook there in Denver. They're playing decent football, and right now they technically are in the playoffs. But Carolina, they decided to trade away Deontay Johnson. He is now a Raven. That's a big boost for the Ravens. And I don't know if they're done yet. I feel like there's going to be more from Carolina, maybe one more trade. Who knows? They're saying there won't be another one, but I got a feeling there may be. We'll see how Carolina plays out there at 32. At 31, the Tennessee Titans. Boy, let me tell you something. Tennessee got dog-walked. Man, the Detroit Lions are just showing why they're the best team, probably the best team in football right now. Yes, they don't have the best record, but probably the best team in football right now. They look great. They are clicking on all cylinders. Packers got something on their hands this week. They're clicking on all cylinders. And we can just see the Titans are a team that are trying to figure it all out. And right now, they look like they could. Well, right now, I think they have the number 2 pick of the draft. If the draft started today. And so, there's some big names up top there. And I know they don't want to think about that, but it looks rough. It looks real rough. The Tennessee Titans are 1-6. They're at 31. At 30, the New Orleans Saints. 6 straight losses. Started off 2-0. Cooking. at the beginning of the season. 91 points right off the bat. That feels like forever ago. I remember when we were talking about, man, look at the Saints, man, 91 points in the first 2 weeks. I was disappointed because I had them going 4-13, and I was like, they're going to suck this year. Well, I was right. I just had to wait a little bit. But Derek Carr will be back this week, and so that may change some things. I mean, they did get kind of beat up against it got kind of beat up against the Chargers last week, and it just hasn't been pretty, and it's really bad for the Saints. And I think at one time I remember the score being like 16-5, which is weird score up in the NFL game. But with that being said, the Saints are 30, and maybe Derek Carr can help turn things around, but that division is starting to get away from them, so they're going to have to try to figure that thing out. At 29, the New York Football Giants losing to Pittsburgh on Monday Night Football 26-18. They were in that game. Had a chance towards the end to maybe tie it up or potentially tie it up before T.J. Watt got the strip sack, changed the whole outlook on things, and then the Steelers moved to 6-2. The Giants, I feel like, are a better team than what and I mean this like they've been competitive for the most part in some of these games, and they just haven't been able to pull it off. And maybe I want to rephrase the way I said this, and I'm not going to say they're a great team, but they have been competitive in moments, and that game against Pittsburgh was one of them. They had one against Dallas they were competitive in. They were competitive against the Commanders, so they've played teams well, but just haven't been able to pull some of those wins off. But they are 2-6. They're at 29. At 28, the Vegas Raiders. Boy, they hung in with the Chiefs. Another division matchup where the last team to beat the Chiefs were the Raiders last year, I believe on Christmas Day. It was the last time the Chiefs lost. And the Raiders are the team that had that honor, and they were playing well in this one, but just couldn't pull it off. Raiders are another team that they got a lot to figure out, and right now they're going to have a high draft pick, and who knows? Is that a Shedeur Sanders down the road? Who could that person be for the Raiders? But there's some things that got to change. I hope they keep Antonio Pierce. I know I said this a couple weeks ago on the show. I think he could be the right guy. They just need the right pieces to go around him. Raiders are at 28. At 27, the New York Football Jets. Jets, Jets can't spell, right? Boy, you trade for Devontae Adams, and it doesn't seem like it's made a difference. And they are trying to figure things out. And maybe it take a little bit, and they may cook later in the season, and maybe too little too late. What I will say is that I think the threat of Devontae Adams being there has changed a little outlet for the other receivers, Garrett Wilson and Gibson, those guys like that. I think they're getting opportunities now because people are focusing on Devontae. And so they're using them, to me, like a sexy decoy right now, but we'll see how that goes. Their Jets are at 27, and Aaron Rodgers and the crew have to figure something out quick. They had a better record last year with Zach Wilson at QB. Just saying. At 26, the New England Patriots coming fresh off of that win against the Jets. New England's another team that's been competitive on and out throughout the season, and they fought hard in some games, and they've just been in the mix. And Jacoby Brissett had to come in for Drake May, who got hurt. I had a concussion during the game, and Jacoby Brissett leading the drive to help the Patriots get that dub. So congratulations to the Patriots getting a win 25-22 over the Jets. Much deserved, hard-fought victory for Jerry Mayo and the guys. At 25, the Jacksonville Jaguars losing a tough one to the Green Bay Packers, 30-27. They had a chance to win this game. Green Bay had some issues with Jordan Love going down, and then Malik Willis having to come in and save the day with Jordan Love going down, nicked up with a groin injury. But there was times during this game where I said, okay, now that's the Jacksonville Jaguars team that people thought we would see throughout this entire season. And I still think that we could see strongly maybe for the rest of the season. But they're going to have that if Doug Peterson wants to keep that job, because it just seems like people are ready to give up on the guy. The Jaguars are at 25. At 24, the Cleveland Browns. A nice win for Cleveland, getting their first win in a while. They definitely needed their last win came against Jacksonville, but they got this win against the one of the best teams in the AFC in the Baltimore Ravens. A much needed win for the Cleveland Browns. So shout out to them. Jameis Winston comes in, phenomenal day, and he looks great. And it's just a good thing to see, especially people love Jameis Winston right now. And hopefully he can continue that for Cleveland as they try to get themselves back into some contention here. Still early in the season. A lot can still happen with another half of the season to go. At 23, the Miami Dolphins. They could be further down this list, but they just got Tua back. and I still think they're a better team than maybe what they're looking right now while they're trying to reintroduce themselves back to Tua. It's been a rough couple of weeks for the Miami Dolphins, but they lose to the Cardinals. They sit here at number 23 after that 28-27 loss in the last second field goal to the Cardinals, who are now the NFC West leaders. Go figure, right? Oh man. At 22, the Cincinnati Bengals, they're 3-5. They lose a tough one to the Eagles. The Eagles came out there and punched them in the mouth. And I really thought that it was going to be the Bengals kind of getting themselves back together. Nah, not at all. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Personally, Eagles came in there kind of clicking a little bit, winning 37-17 in that matchup. Bengals are at 22. At 21, the Dallas Cowboys, 3-4. Dallas hung in with the 49ers, just couldn't pull it off in the end. And I don't know what this team looks like next year. Yeah, they signed Dak long term and they signed CD, but they're going to have to figure some things out quick, like real quick. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's the bottom. Panthers, Titans, Saints, Giants, Raiders, Jets, Patriots, Jags, Browns, Dolphins, Bengals, and the Dallas Cowboys. I think there's some hope in the bottom. I think there's some hope there. I don't know how much hope, but I think there is some hope there. They can try to figure some things for some of those teams to climb out the bottom. I think Cleveland might be able to figure it out. I think Cleveland's one of them that I think might be able to figure out. I think the Dolphins could eventually figure it out. Maybe Jacksonville, teams that can figure it out, but we'll see. Let's go ahead and jump into the outside looking in. All right, outside looking in this week, we start at number 20, and that is the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams were able to defeat the Minnesota Vikings on Thursday Night Football at home, 30-20, and you can kind of see where the Rams are starting to get things back a little bit. You get Cooper Kupp back, Puka Nacua. They're still trying to figure things out there. They had some Cooper Kupp trade rumors at one point. And it doesn't seem like that's going to come into fruition at this time. But I still have some faith in that Rams team. They're 3-4. I did pick the Rams to go to Super Bowl. I don't think that's right now, personally, I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But I do think that they can get things together there in LA. But they're at 20 for now. At 19, we've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who I really had high hopes for this team. But injuries are really starting to derail this team. They lost a tough one to the number 11 team on the outside looking in, the Atlanta Falcons. And they were there. They had a chance. Atlanta winning that game 31-26. Without Chris Godwin, no Mike Evans, I don't know how if the Bucs can stay afloat while they wait for those. Well, Godwin's not coming back, but we're at least waiting for Mike Evans to come back. So I still think that might be a team that we sneakily may try to go and get themselves may try to go get themselves a receiver in this and before this trade deadline. So we'll see. Just keep your eye on that. Bucks at 19. At 18, the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle lost a tough one, a really rough one to the Bills, and Buffalo continues to get themselves on the right foot. 31-10 over Seattle. Seattle's still having some growing pains. There's some times I'm like, man, Seattle looks good. There's some times I'm like, Seattle, what's going on there? So that's kind of where they're at right now with the Seahawks. They're just still trying to figure it out. Seattle's at 18. At 17, the Indianapolis Colts. They lose to the Texans 23-20. But the biggest thing that came away from this game is the Anthony Richardson tapping out type of thing. And there's a symbol in the NFL if, there's something wrong or you need a timeout, you need a break. They tap the helmet so they can get themselves together. They bring in a substitute. He tapped in. And people are saying, and at first nobody thought of nothing about it until the post-game press conference. And then he was pretty much saying, yeah, I was tired. I had to get out of there. And then people started questioning his heart. And, I hate to see that for the young man. And the Colts obviously hate to see it because Joe Flacco right now is the starter, at least for now. It looks like for the rest of the season, but we'll see. Maybe things will change. But for now, Joe Flacco is the starter in Indianapolis. And I think that changes the game for the Colts. They're at 17. At 16, the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers are trying to climb out. They were in the bottom last week. They bounced themselves back into a solid position here after a win against Dallas. They're still hanging in there. The Cardinals right now lead the division, who are at number 15, and they're just trying to get themselves together. The Cardinals haven't. Neither team in the NFC West, nobody's looked pretty. You got 3 teams at 4-4, and then the Rams are 3-4. That's going to be a dogfight to the end. Somebody's got to win that division. And if San Francisco get healthy, watch out. San Francisco at 16, at 15, Arizona Cardinals. Talk about their win over Miami, winning 28-27. Kyler Murray and the crew getting a win and leading the division. I just didn't see that one coming, but they're in the mix there. They're leading the division. They're going to try to keep things up. At 14, the Chicago Bears. Whew. Well, let me tell you something. Man, the Chicago Bears lost a tough one against the Commanders. And being there in person was insane. Seeing the first Hail Mary I've ever seen in person, it was quite the experience. Watching them come down with it, a whole 9 yards. It was just an amazing game. Even though the game was kind of slow overall, but what an ending, The Bears are still trying to figure it out. They've got to get Caleb Williams an offensive line. That's my perspective from what I saw. Their defense is really good. They've got pieces, but that offensive line is going to definitely have to either step up or they're going to have to get some pieces on their offensive line to really help Caleb come along. And we'll see. We'll see. The Bears are at 14. At 13, the Chargers. I mean, they're there, but something about this team I just don't like, and I don't know what it is yet. I just don't know what it is. But they're at 13. They're hanging in there. They won last week, and they got the Browns this week, which I think will be an interesting matchup. I think the Browns are going to win that matchup, but that's besides the point. But the Chargers are charging right now. We'll see what they can do with it, and I believe currently they have a playoff spot, but we'll also get into that a little bit later. At 12, the Denver Broncos, probably the surprise of the surprise here in the outside looking in. And, they've got a chance if they can get a win next week, maybe even popping into the top 10. Bo Nix and the crew. It started off a little rough, but they're starting to click a little bit now. Watch out for the Denver Broncos. Shout out to my guy, Nick Higgs. Love you, brother. Love you for life, my man. I miss him. I know he's probably smiling down in heaven seeing his Broncos doing good things. So y'all do that for my boy, Nick. At 11, the Atlanta Falcons, they are sitting in, trying to knock back on the door, get back into that top 10. They're 5-3, leading the NFC South right now, and they're trying to figure all that out. Let's see if they can make things happen there in the South. All right, here we go. The outside looking in. We've got the Rams, the Bucks, the Seahawks, the Colts, the 49ers, Cardinals, Bears, Chargers, Broncos, and the Atlanta Falcons. Outside looking in, starting to crank up. There's a few teams that are looking to crawl themselves back, crawl into the top 10. I think, the Broncos are a candidate for that. You got to watch out for them. The Falcons and the 49ers are all candidates to try to jump into that thing at some point, so watch out for that. Now, let's go to the top 10. All right, this week's top 10. At number 10, the Baltimore Ravens. Despite the loss to the Browns, the Ravens are still one of the best teams in football. They're still trying to figure some things out. But the Ravens occasionally will do this. Now, when I did my season predictions at the beginning, I had the Browns sweeping the Ravens, but I also had the Browns like 12-5 and winning the division. Right now, they've already lost 6 games, but at least they did complete what I thought was going to happen so far, and that's one half of the sweep. Then they still got to go to Baltimore and do it, but I think they still got a chance to get that thing. We'll see. But, this Ravens team, I don't put anything past them. You want to watch out. They'll still be fine. They bring in Deontay Johnson, which is a big pickup for them. It's really going to boost their receiver room. And I'm intrigued to see how they would use him, how Todd Monken and the guys will try to figure things out with him in the upcoming weeks. The Ravens are at 10. At 9, the Minnesota Vikings. Lose to the Rams, 2 straight losses. But I'm hearing that T.J. Hockenson is back this week. We'll see. That's big for my fantasy. I know that much. So T.J. Hockenson coming back will definitely be a booster to that receiving / the tight end room / receiving core. So that'll be fun to see as you get one of the best tight ends in the league back in the fold. At number 18, the Philadelphia Eagles at 37-17 win was a very, very impressive one. And they were able to beat up on the Bengals and Joe Cool. So this Eagles team that's been, taking some criticism, still hanging in there. They're only a half a game behind the Washington Commanders for the number 1 spot in the NFC East. That's a matchup that happens not this Thursday, but the following Thursday, or next Thursday, but the following Thursday on Thursday Night Football. So that should be a fun one. That'll be a fun one to watch. But the Eagles right now sitting at 8, doing some pretty good things. At 7, the Pittsburgh Steelers 6-2, still moving along. Russ and the crew, even after they made the switch from Justin Fields, they seem like the offense has been a little bit more dynamic. And there's nothing against Justin Fields because he did do well while he was out there starting. But Russell Wilson and the crew have things have changed a little bit. So we'll see if they can keep that rolling. The Steelers are at 7. At 6, the Buffalo Bills. They beat up they beat up their opponent, last week. They beat up on Seattle. They gave them the business. Josh Allen, in some people's eyes right now, looking like the MVP. I refuse to give it to him or put him at number 1 because, in the past I've been all over the Josh Allen train, and I refuse to let it get me this year. I'm gonna make him earn my Super Bowl selection or anything like that, which I didn't pick him, but we'll see. But Buffalo's at 6. At 5, left hand up. Who are we? The Commanders. I tell you what, this team surprised me every week. Every week I go into the game thinking, okay, we'll see. But every week the confidence continues to grow, and it's been an honor, these first 8 games of the season to be able to sit and watch this team grow over the time frame, and including preseason games, and seeing what Dan Quinn and the crew have been able to do for this team. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Washington. I absolutely love it. So keep your heads up, Washington. Y'all are doing your thing. They're at number 5. At number 4, the Houston Texans. They get a win over the Colts, but they lose Stephon Diggs. That's a big blow. So Tank Dell is going to probably be the number 1 guy. Schultz will probably get a little bit more love this week. And at some point, hopefully they'll get Nico Collins back, and it'll be, unfortunately, just like last year. And maybe not unfortunately, but they'll have the firepower they had last year. We'll see if they can keep things rolling there once they do get Nico Collins back. I got the Texans at 4. At 3, the Green Bay Packers. Packers win over the Jaguars. I'll be honest, I don't even know why I got it. Well, no, they've played good football. They won 4 straight games. They were 2-2 at one point. They've won 4 straight games. They beat the Rams, the Cardinals, who are now the Cardinals, who are the number 1 of the team in the top of the NFC West. They beat the Jaguars. They're supposed to win that matchup, but they're winning games now. So 4 straight games for the Packers as they'll try to beat up on the number 2 team, or at least beat the number 2 team this week in Lambeau as they take on the Detroit Lions, who just straight cooked it. They straight cooked the Titans, 52-14. It was not close. No, I lie. It was close at one point when it was 14-14, and then they said, "Nah, we're gonna go ahead and just score a whole bunch of unanswered points." I think 38 to be exact. It was rough. So Packers at 3, Lions at 2, and at number 1, after defeating the Vegas Raiders, the Kansas City Chiefs holding on to the spot for another week as they sit at 7-0 on the NFL season and continue to make things look good. So here we go. Top 10. Ravens, Vikings, Eagles, Steelers, Bills, Commanders, Texans, Packers, Lions, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, there it is. Our power rankings locked and loaded, all ready to roll. Now we're going to finish this thing up with the finale. Let's get this bad boy cooking. All right, so we'll start the finale with, of course, like I said every week, my favorite segment. It's time for Kings of the Gridiron. Let's see who our players of the week were.
Let's get ready to rumble. Who won't war in the ring? Who won't war with the king? Bring all the balls you can bring. It ain't gonna cost you a thing. You ain't bring the sauce to the ring. You want send the sauce in the ring.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We are back for another edition of Kings of the Gridiron. This one for week 8 of the NFL season. And we've got 2 people in the AFC North that have bragging rights for this week. First, let's start on the offensive side of the ball. We head to the Dog Pound, led by quarterback Jameis Winston, who's had to come into relief to take over for Deshaun Watson, and he did an amazing job on Sunday versus the Ravens. Winston went 27 for 41, 334 yards with 3 touchdowns and no interceptions on the day, and a 29-24 victory over Baltimore. Jameis has been laughed at. He's been made fun of in his career. He's been praised in his career. He is beloved by many now, and I think a lot of people are excited to see Jameis get his chance once again and helping the Browns getting their 2nd win of the season. And I don't know if this will turn the Browns season around, but having Jameis Winston a reliable backup quarterback to come in for Deshaun Watson and see if he can help right the ship for the Cleveland Browns on a team that made the playoffs last year. So shout out to Jameis Winston. He deserves it. He's the offensive king of the gridiron for Week 8. Now we head to the defensive side of the ball, and one of the Browns' arch nemesis, the former defensive player of the year, T.J. Watt. T.J. Watt had a great day against the New York Giants, or I should say a great night on Monday Night Football. He had 7 tackles, 2 sacks, and a forced fumble that would pretty much clinch the game for the Pittsburgh Steelers, helping the Steelers move to 6-2 on the season. And, you know, whenever they say time to get Mike Tomlin out the door, they find a way to continue to do great things there in Pittsburgh. They got a 26-18 win over the New York Giants. And there they are, ladies and gentlemen, our kings of the gridiron for Week 8. Jameis Winston, who went 27 for 41, 334 yards, 3 touchdowns on the pick versus Baltimore, and T.J. Watt with his 7 tackles, 2 sacks, and a forced fumble against the New York Football Giants. We'll be back next week, ladies and gentlemen, to bring you the kings of the gridiron for Week 9. All right, there we are. Our kings of the gridiron for Week 8, Jameis Winston and T.J. Watt. Shout out to those guys. Congratulations on being kings of the gridiron for week number 8. We'll see who gets the prize next week. Now, our MVP race. Now, a lot of people have Josh Allen at the top, but right now, for me, it's Jared Goff. And, you know, this is going to fluctuate from week to week based off of performances and stuff. But this right now, to me, is my core 5. So I got Goff at 1, Daniels at 2 after the performance last week in the Hail Mary victory for the Commanders. Jackson, even with the loss, you know, Lamar has played amazing this year. Allen has been cooking for the Bills. We'll see if that keeps that rocking and rolling with Amari Cooper joining the fold like a week or so ago. And then, of course, Derrick Henry, who's just been a monster all season there. Like he's just been trucking people. So those are my top 5 MVP candidates heading into Week 9. And now let's look at the playoff situation. If the playoffs started today, but we would have this playoff matchups where the Chiefs and the Lions will both get the bye. In the AFC, we'll see the Texans take on the Chargers, the 2 and the 7 seed. The Steelers take on the Ravens in the 3-6 matchup. And then we would see the Broncos take on the Bills in the 4-5 matchup. In the NFC, we would see the Eagles take on the Commanders in the 2-7 matchup. In the 3-6 matchup, we would see the Falcons take on the Vikings. And in the 4-5 matchup, we would see the Packers head to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. Your boy record last week, 12-4. He cooking. 12-4 last week. That's so back-to-back weeks. I was 10-4 week before last, 11-4 last week, 12-4 this week, moving my record to 73-50. Your boy is on the way back. He's fighting. I was the one of the experts of the week last week for for our Pick'em League with Russ and Jay. So, you know, we're in there fighting. You know, me and JJ's got 1 game over me. Russ right now is cooking. In the Legends division, James, the defending champion, has reclaimed the lead over Cody. He's got a 1-game lead over Cody. Watch out for him. But your boy in 5th, he's making a comeback. Give me some time, y'all. Give me some time. In the All-Star division, Russ has a 5-game lead over Joe. And with a 14-2 week last week, he's just continuing to keep things on the up and up. So there it is for our NFL pick'ems. Now, heading into tonight, I've got the Texans beating the Jets 31-20. I think the Jets season continues to get horrible. I feel bad for them. I want to see my former, you know, Green Bay, you know, Packers do their thing, you know, as a Packer enthusiast, but it just doesn't seem it's going to be that way. They might have to start afresh next year. I got the Texans winning tonight 31-20. And for the week of 9, we've got the Texans, the Commanders, the Packers, the Bills. That's right. I picked the Packers over the Lions. You know, I'm not picking the Detroit Lions. Get out of here. The Ravens, the Browns, the Saints, the Bengals, the Falcons, the Patriots, Cardinals, Jags, Rams, Colts, and the defending Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs. All right, everyone. That's it. That is it for another episode of 101 here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network and, of course, airing on the amazing Bowie Television. It's been a pleasure, guys, to be with you for another one. We'll be back next Thursday next Thursday for another fun one, as we'll see a week 10 come around, and we'll see where things stand. Will we have a new number one next week? It's a possibility, could have one, may not. We'll see. We'll see, but that all will take place next week, and we'll be glad to be able to bring that to you. Once again, everybody, I'm your man, Darrell Owens, Legacy Maker Sports Network, Bowie Television. Thank you all for tuning in for one-on-one here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. We'll see you all next week for episode 147.
One. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof.